Welcome to How Good Is. Today I'm going to talk about the Fire Attacker Blastios Sakura Kyouko. Oh, sorry. The Fire Attacker Blastios Sakura Kyouko. The Fire Attacker Blast Up Sakura Kyouko Doppel version this time, which is totally a completely new unit from all the other ones. So, in case you've already seen my other Kyouko reviews, where I talk about how good both of these Kyokos are at just doing turn 1 really good blast burst by just having their active, which gives them a crap ton of blast immediately on turn 1, and then using that to, for example, do a turn 1 mirrors domination basically. Yeah, this Kyouko doesn't quite do that actually, so she's actually the most different of all the Kyokos. But she's still a Fire Attacker Blastios character who is gonna blast all day, because why would Kyouko do anything else? So, before we go on, if you want just the TLDW, like the 200 watch version of this video, she's the Kimochi version of Sakura Kyouko. On the Kimochi, that is Forest type, where you use your fire characters against it, which is coming up in like next week or something, maybe, I don't know, coming up very soon. Then this is the best damage dealer probably out there. She has the stats to show for that as well. She has the highest HP, highest defense, and highest attack of all the Kyokos, which, that's pretty good. And her personal is also pretty darn good. She might be the only Kyoko with a decent personal actually. Gives 25% attack up for 3 turns and 15% flame attribute attack up for a total of basically 40% attack up, and 15% of that is in a different pot, which is really fucking good. It's actually really fucking good. So if you don't have some super duper amazing active Memoria, which if you're not a whale and you still want to do well in Kimochi, definitely take this one. Next up, what about her connect? Does it connect even matter? Well, I guess kind of. I mean, if you're playing Kimochi, you're playing 6 rounds of Kimochi. Yeah, like you're playing 3 rounds of Kimochi. Each Kimochi has 6 turns, right? So you might actually throw some connects out, which is somewhat different than the other Kyokos, because like I said, the other Kyokos, they usually just do like solar mirror stuff, where they just immediately burst people down, or you take them with you into farming, like farming PvE event stages, farming challenges or whatever. And if you're farming challenges, then you're probably just taking characters with you that just one-shot all the enemies anyway, or just kill them so fast that the enemies can't really do anything. And in those scenarios, connect doesn't really matter, right? Neither does Magi and Doppel, but in a Kimochi, you would actually be using some connect every now and then. So what does it do? Blast damage up and damage up. That's pretty darn good. That's pretty darn good for a Kimochi where you're gonna use a lot of blast discs. And in this Kimochi, you're gonna use a lot of blast discs, because this Kimochi where you use your fire characters is specifically weak to charge blasts. So yeah, you're gonna use that. You also Dazzle attack, which is another way of increasing damage, but only by a little. So if you have an ailment that is at least level 2 or level 3, in this case Dazzle is a level 3 status ailment, and you put that on enemy, that enemy then takes increased damage from the element that is strong against them. So I think they're like weak element bonus or something like that. Basically, you put this on a forest unit, and then that forest unit will take bonus damage from fire in this case. So against the Kimochi, it's gonna do bonus damage. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, the only problem is that against an enemy that occupies multiple tiles, only the center tile, the very center tile of the 9 tiles, actually counts as being afflicted by a status ailment. So the center tile of like 5 tiles or whatever is gonna take bonus damage, and all the other 4 tiles will not take bonus damage. So yeah, ailments are still kind of shit, but it's still bonus damage, right? You still actually do more damage with this. It's just not a whole lot, sadly. But it's at least still a very decent connect specifically for this Kimochi, and the trend continues. Now with the other 2 Kyokos, I basically said like, okay, you're never gonna use Magia or Doppel anyway. I said that in their videos as well, I think. So I'm actually gonna talk about them. Why? Because this Kyoko actually does use her Magia, or more specifically, she does use her Doppel. How does that happen? How does that work? We'll see in a bit. But her Doppel is attribute strength and damage, because of course it is. Of course it is. This basically just means bonus damage to weak element, which is forest, so bonus damage against the Kimochi. Yay! It also gives to self blast damage up, attack up, flame attribute attack up, and blast MP gain up. Fucking good. So basically all of these 3 buffs, these are like top 3 buffs that you would want. Maybe not the top 3, but like at least these are the top 2 buffs that you would want. And some blast up damage up on top of that. Fucking great. What else is there to say? Well, maybe if you are watching this and you're still not quite sure about elemental attack up, like flame attack up, basically it works the exact same as normal attack up, right? With one difference. like the normal attack up, you can only stack this to 100%. And once you've got this to 100%, you can't get any more. But elemental attack up also by itself stacks to 100%. And you can have both of these. So you can have 100% attack up, and then you can have additionally however much percentage elemental attack up you have, and you get over 100% attack up in total with that. So if you have like 70% attack up, 70% flame attack up, you have a total of 140% attack up. And if you're capped at attack up, you have 100% attack up, and let's say you even push flame with your attack up to the cap to another 100%, you can get a maximum total of 200% attack up with that, instead of just 100% attack up with just the normal attack. So yeah, you get way more attack by spreading it out across these two different pots, which is why all these Kimochi units do it, because this only really matters, like the distinction between normal attack up and elemental attack up only really matters on enemies where you're going to cap on attack up. And that's just basically only Kimochi. Because even in 100 evils, if you have a decent amount of attack up, like even like 70 or 80% attack up, you're probably killing enemies pretty darn fast. You're not gonna have to worry too much about getting way over above 100% with elemental attack up. You just kill enemies with that amount of attack anyway. So this only really matters in Kimochi, where you can do specifically try and get as much attack up as possible, and therefore the elemental attack up is really good specifically for Kimochi. So this seems like, wait a second, 5 turns, Kimochi lasts for 6 turns, so if we use this on turn 2, it would last for the entire battle. Isn't that amazing? So you'd only have to use this once and it lasts for the entire battle. If you get to use it twice, you get twice the bonuses, and if you end the battle on some MP, then when the next battle starts, you're going to be able to reuse that MP and get to another Doppel faster. So you would actually be able to cycle through multiple Doppels between Kimochi rounds, which is really good. So how do we actually get her to Doppel? Because if you remember, the other Kyokos, they don't get to Doppel, or Magia even, because how could they? They have no MP gain. But this is where the Doppel aspect comes in, and why this Kyoko is going to be it for Kimochi. So let's just go over this bit now. So most of the stuff doesn't really matter, like Dazzle was cool, I talked about this earlier for a bit. Most importantly though, you get some Blast Salutation, that's pretty good, allows you to passively generate some MP here and there, but this by itself doesn't really do a whole lot. This by itself is still very little. What's more important is that on one hand, you start the battle with 10% MP gauge up, so you start the battle with 15 MP if you have Doppel unlocked, great. And the most important thing, you only regenerate 70 MP at the start of the second turn, like after the first turn is over. Yeah, that's pretty good, 70 MP, and this is without any MP up bonuses. If you have, like, let's say 20% MP up, you would be regenerating 84 MP. So, but even if you don't have any MP up, which probably you won't, you probably don't want to put MP up on her for just this one thing, because MP up doesn't actually work with Blast Salutation, which is kind of dumb, but it doesn't. But even without that, you start the battle basically at 85 MP, because you also start the battle with 15 MP. Isn't that nice? And that by itself gets you somewhat decently close to Doppel. If then on top of that you hit a few blasts here and there, maybe you have another character that can give MP, then you very easily get to Doppel. And once you've gotten to Doppel once, you buff yourself with Blast MP gain up, which makes you get double MP from all of your blasts in total. So it's gonna be a lot easier to get back to the next Doppel. And guess what? When the Kimochi fight ends and you go into the next round of Kimochi, you're gonna carry over all of that MP you still have. Let's say you still have 60 MP from the end of the battle. You bring it with you into the next battle. You get 15 MP on top of that because of fast mana up. So you're already at 75. And then you get another 70 from this. And you're already almost back to Doppel. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice, right? You can, like, because this triggers at the start of every battle. So this triggers at the start of every round of Kimochi. Isn't that good? And this is why this is so good for Kimochi, because you just get Doppel really easily without doing too much about it. And once you fire it off, you buff yourself so much. And then you are also giving yourself the tools to get back to another Doppel very easily. Also active is Blast Drop, so basically if you're fighting against the Kimochi, you might want to have some draw abilities to guard against bad luck, and this is just bad luck protection right here. If you have a team that wants to blast in this turn, but you didn't draw any blast discs, or only 2 blast discs or whatever, and you have like 3 Excel discs drawn, that sucks, right? but you can just blast draw instead. And if you have bad luck right away on turn 1, I think you get it back on the last turn as well. So yeah, that's pretty darn nice to have the blast draw in here as well. It's just a really nice bad luck protection bonus to have in there. So overall really nice. By the way, I didn't mention this, but yeah, she gets another 7.5% flame attribute attack up from just passively, because fuck yeah, why not? So yeah, this is the Kyouko that is not as good, maybe okay, maybe is about as good actually at farming regular stages, like at farming PvE stages, farming challenges, for example, if you want to just auto battle. But then again, the other Kyokos are about as good as this one at doing that. This Kyouko, however, cannot do the single solo mirror strat where you just do turn 1 mirrors and you immediately burst into the enemy with your big actives. By the way, the reason why this is because both these Kyokos have really high blast damage up actives, so you would go into mirrors, you would use this active and just immediately shred enemies. This Kyoko doesn't have that. But anywhere outside of that, if you're doing really hard EX challenges or 100 evils or specifically Kimochi, then this Kyoko is just way better than the other two at all of those things. But once again, if you're not interested in Kimochi, then this unit probably isn't going to substitute for either of the two other Kyokos, okay? All of that out of the way, what about her Memoria that is in the gacha? It's also really darn fucking good specifically for Kimochi. Who could have guessed? 30% attack up at maximum HP is so goddamn fucking much. And on top of that, 35% blast up. Damn, that's fucking good. That's fucking good. And you know how hard it is if you fight enemies, then you get hit by something and then you lose your attack while at max HP bonus, or you regenerate a bit of HP as well to hopefully get that max HP bonus back. Another nice little bonus on top of that. So yeah, overall, this is a pretty good fucking Memoria. And even whales, if there are whales out there that don't specifically want this Doppel Kyouko for the next Kimochi, even those will probably still roll for this, just for this Memoria. That said, as always, especially if you're free to play, never ever roll a gacha only for the Memoria. If you're free to play, the Memorias and the gachas are bonus for you. Why? Because it's harder to get the Memoria than the characters. I've gotten multiple 4-slot limited characters without getting anywhere close to MLBing their gacha Memoria. Like, I think I have like a 4-slot final target, and I got like one copy, a single copy of her gacha Memoria. Like, dude, it's really hard. It's really, really hard to get that. You're gonna waste so much money if you're trying to roll for gacha only for the rated Memoria. Don't do it. Some people get lucky, sure, but don't tempt fate, okay? But yeah, that's it. If you do roll for it, this is an absolutely amazing Memoria, and of course it's limited. That was that though. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time.